Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion is called Parshat Mishpatim. It's primarily laws between people, and it's an appropriate portion to follow last week's Torah portion when the whole portion was about the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. Okay, these are the laws that we're supposed to follow to keep the Torah. At the end of the parsha, there's a recap of some of the things that happened before the giving of Torah and some of the things that happened after the giving of the Torah. And there's a particular verse there. The verse says, "V'yiru es Elokei Yisrael," and they saw the God of Israel. V'tachas raglav k'maaseh levish sapir, and under God's feet was the livna sapir, was a shining brick, ube'etzem hashamayim l'torah, right, and in the essence of the sky, of the pure sky. What is it talking about? So there's a story. The story is not only were the men enslaved, the women were enslaved also, right? And there's an incredibly poignant tale about the Mesiras Nefesh, the self-sacrifice of the Jewish women. There was a woman who was also making bricks. She was kneading the clay. It was very difficult work. She was expecting. She was there with her husband, and she had a miscarriage. And the cruel Egyptians took the embryo and wanted to use it to make a brick to put it into the building. God saw this, and He was so touched. He sent His angel down, who replaced the brick. That brick went and was placed under God's feet in the heavenly throne. Okay, God saying to us, even in your most difficult times, I'm with you. God is always with the Jewish people, no matter what's going on. That's the idea of the pasuk. But there's another whole level. The Baal Shem Tov explains it in a completely different way. He says, you know what? V'yiru es Elokei Yisrael. They saw the God of the Jewish people. I also want to see God. I want to be God's chariot. Like it says, v'tachas raglav. How do I become God's chariot? That I'm carrying God to where everyone wants to go and doing God's will. The answer is Maaseh livnat sapir, to be a shining brick. What's the shining brick? The brick is the body. When the shining is the soul. When this body is shining like the soul, when there's no contradiction between physical and spiritual, when all I want to do is even my body it wants just to be with Hashem, that's when V'yiru es Elokei Yisrael, that's when God will let us see Him, that will be His chariot. And even more than that, the Baal Shem Tov goes further. The verse says, the Gemara says that there's a hammer that breaks the stone. Sometimes there's a stone that's so strong it breaks the hammer. Right? That's this livnat sapir. That's the shining stone. What's the hammer? That's our evil inclination. What's the stone? That's our soul. When the soul says, "I'm not going to be affected by my evil inclination. I'm going to break the hammer." Okay. When we break the hammer, when our body shines like our soul, God will let us see His revelations in the world, right? And we will transform the world with holiness. So it should be for us. Shabbat Shalom.